And away we go. We are live on the 4th of July. Good morning, Freeman. Welcome in. I'm not quite awake. But we're in a heat wave and it's cool in the morning. That's a good thing. My stinking skin cancer suddenly decided to grow fast, so it's time to go to the doctor. I want to get surgery on my face. They're butchers. Oh well, we'll see. Anyway, we do all the celebrating in this small town on Saturday, when most working people can be here for the small town parade and street fair. A headache is trying to form, darn it. Wow. What a day. And I still have more weeds to pull. A few to pull, mostly to rake up and bag up. And the tomcat, the old tomcat who sneaks in to steal my cat's food, has decided that he should come to my door and meow, and maybe I'll let him in. Hi, Jason. Welcome in. Oh, Lord. Yesterday I did a 2-hour interview with our friend Niche. She will edit it and put it out online for your listening pleasure. Well, good morning, Hideval Calixto. Oh, wow. That's either Spanish or Portuguese. Good morning. Oh, well, Freeman, you have my email if you want to share jokes and you remember it later. I woke up late and decided, well, I told you guys I'd be on at 7:30, so I'd better try to get on by 7:30, 35, thereabouts. Anyway, beautiful downtown Crestline is still here, still safe. I was going to do something with that's what I was going to do, and I forgot to put it in the description. Well, hi, Widow. Welcome in. Happy 4th. My back hates me again. If you want something, you have to say hi to your adoring fans. Okay, if you won't move, I'll move the camera. She touched me, so she has to wash the human smell off her paw, I guess. Silly cat. Well, at least the tomcat that thinks he lives here now will not pop out any kittens. But he doesn't sleep in my house. That's Taurus privilege and job. Uh, let's see. Hi, Philip. Welcome in. Tora, get off of my stuff. She hasn't had her treats yet. Here come the treats. You know what happens. I give you treats, and all of a sudden 6 cats are here demanding treats. Hi, Smokey Sue. You can have some too. Well, um, um, getting things organized for in order to do more stuff on the cooking channel. Yeah, I'm concerned about that elderly gentleman who just wasn't having a good night. All right, Sweetie Pie. Sweetie came to get treats. I found out one reason why my modem runs out of juice. Oh, Angus is here. Hi. My modem, it's portable. It isn't permanently plugged in. That's it. Well, my phone is set up for wireless charging, so it's been stealing power from the modem. My phone is a thief, an electricity thief. When the laptop computer is plugged in, the phone steals it from there, and that's okay. Oh, yeah, I guess that is a Philip K. Dick thing. Appliances stealing power from each other. Anyway, write a letter to Elon Musk. I don't think he makes Android phones. I refuse to get an iPhone. They're made by slave labor and child labor in China. Yeah, some cars will lock you out if you miss a payment. Now, what's even worse is some cars will stop. They'll turn off their engines. What if you're in the middle of the highway and everyone else is going 65 miles an hour? Well, I think that the people at CNN thought that the orange man would refuse, and they could say all kinds of bad things about him not showing up. I don't know why he did show up. Tora, say hi to your adoring fans. And don't walk all over me. She walks all over me. That's what cats do. Let's see, I don't know. Yeah, it does sound dangerous, Philip, for your car to just shut off. And then there are the rental car companies. It usually hurts while arrested because the rental company reported the car as stolen. Tora, don't even think about getting in my coffee. It's mine. Oh, I feel like getting up for my achy back anyway. Let's open a can for these monsters. Come on. Uh, uh, kitties. Yes, cat food. Uh, kitties. Uh, oh boy, I'm almost back. Come on. Whew. She hoping. Cat flavored coffee. Well, it isn't fun to take a sip of coffee and find it's full of cat hair. Well, there's a bunch of practical reasons why they can't switch candidates at this point. There are two states. One is Ohio, and I forget what the other one is, where a new candidate can't be put on the ballot. And I suppose they could write in a name. Oh, that Kamala is really angry. They're acting as if she doesn't exist. Dear. I lost track of what Freeman's talking about. Cats are jealous of us. If we pay attention to anything, they have to have it or destroy it. But it is not simply Democrats bad, Republicans good. There's crooks all over the place in our federal government, in our local government. Oh, by the way, after years and years, I finally got called for jury duty. And I looked carefully, and the darn notice says that I failed to appear. But it's set for August. This is only July. I'm going, what? Failed to appear to what, where, and when? So I have to deal with that now. I mean, when you're actually summoned for jury duty and you don't show up, they don't send you a letter. They send a certified letter that you have to sign for. Or they send a deputy or a police officer to come get you. Uh, uh, well, anyway, I didn't come on to talk politics, but there it is. I can't believe it. Every 4th of July, I make sure that I have an American flag flying in my front yard. And some people are triggered by that. They think there's something hateful about our flag. Why? What? It's just the symbol of our country. It belongs to all of us. Somebody recently said about the politicians in D.C., this is not their country, it's your country. Something like that. Well, as I was discussing with Niche yesterday, I wanted to do jury duty, but not if they're going to be charging me with failing to appear for jury duty. That's weird. Yeah, now wait for next year. Right, Friedman. I don't think I could. You have to sit for hours, and you notice how I'm always getting up. And I have to have my coffee, tea, and water, and cats. Well, I guess the cats aren't a necessity, but they do help. Anyway, Niche and I were discussing demonic forces. Well, they've forecast their future and they can't find a future where they win, so they're getting desperate and stalling, slowing things down, trying to hang on because they know they're going to lose and they want to postpone it. Yeah, 4th of July. I gotta say, the ads for the Orange Man are much better than the other guy's ads. They're entertaining and informative. Well, I kind of understand when they don't like Is it called the Union Jack? I don't know, the Confederate flag? I can kind of see that. Although I think that's also a little misguided. It was actually based on the Scottish flag. A lot of Scottish people settled in the American South. Scots and Irish. Oh, Freeman thinks I'd send him to the electric chair for fun. No, I'd like to educate the rest of the jury on the fact that even if the judge orders you and tells you this guy's guilty, you have to find him guilty, you can still refuse. The whole jury can say, no, we won't do it. And then the judge, after the jury verdict, the judge can say, well, I say he's guilty, and clap his gavel, but you're forcing the judge to stand by his own decision and not force the jury to do it for him. It's called jury nullification. We can say, even though the judge says he's guilty, we don't have to agree. Angus is near my, I guess, hometown, where I was born anyway, Culver City. Oh yeah, I had more than one minor burn every 4th of July. Remember sparklers? You'd hold it in your hand and it did fizzle, fizzle, fizzle. You'd have a little firework. You could kind of do skywriting with it. Oh, children might get hurt. Well, I drank from the garden hose. I rode a bicycle without a helmet, and I roller skated without knee pads, and I'm still here. Yeah, Canada does have a lot of Scots. Nova Scotia is New Scotland. The Confederate flag is stars and bars. Thank you, Freeman. Yeah, judges hate jury nullification. Well, tough turkey. It exists. Yeah, I think it's the battle flag, Philip. It's got a cross, a red background, a blue cross with white stars. Yeah, well, sparklers are dangerous if you don't know what you're doing. That's one area where Mom was actually reasonable. She'd have a bucket of water, and when you were done with the sparkler, you dropped it in the bucket of water. And back then, the sparklers were not a piece of wood with paper on top. They were metal with the sparkly stuff glued onto the metal. So the darn thing would get a little warm in your hand even if you were not touching the burning part. But what's really dangerous, and I'm so glad they got rid of them, the little things that you put on the ground and they'd spin and move around. I forget what they were called. But I remember going after a child once, and the child ran away, but because of physics, the darn thing followed him. The ground flower, that's what they called them. Because as you run away, the wind you create causes the sort of suction to drag the ground flower with you. Well, Remember stories of the hanging judge? I've forgotten his real name. In Arizona, in the Old West. He probably hanged a lot of innocent people. Oh, I love candy cigarettes. Why don't they make them in little balls so we can at least have the flavor of those things? And they don't look like cigarettes. Okay, there's someone named Cheryl in here. Oh, hi, Cheryl. Welcome in. Yes, Philip, New Caledonia also means New Scotland, even though it's a French colony, he says. A French colonial territory north of New Zealand. Oh, it was a French penal colony. Ooh. Hmm. Uh. Oh, yeah, Canada. In Canada, everybody has to learn French. I wouldn't survive. I tried to learn French. It's a beautiful language, but I can't do it. At least not well. But you can't be in the government of Canada unless you speak both English and French. But in America, you don't have to speak English to run for office and hold a political office because that's racist. But our lovely, peaceful neighbors to the north, Canadian people, are so nice. They're even upset by bad words that don't bother an American at all. You know, like darn and heck. But you have to speak English and French to be in the government. Yeah, thank you, Freeman. Judge Roy L. Bean. I'm losing my place in the chat. Canada has a Charter of Rights. I guess that's their constitution. And apparently the little boy who's calling himself prime minister has been violating it. Something awful. Well, judges in the U.S. get away with things because we can't afford to appeal their decisions. Yeah, I love listening to French, but I really don't understand much of it. And I do try even now, especially since I'm getting into cooking because there are so many dishes with French names. Well, I think it's good to learn a second language, but I don't think it's good for the law to say you have to learn this one. I learned Spanish because as I was growing up, many of my social circle, not close friends, but friends, spoke Spanish and English, and I just picked up a lot of Spanish. Yeah, that's right. Legal aid isn't very good. Public defenders aren't very good. And if you have the money, you can finally get some form of justice, but it'll cost you an arm and a leg and your firstborn. We've been seeing that on television. Oh, anyway, I was going to talk about a Scanner Darkly and where the title came from, but this is interesting. My chat room comes up with great stuff to talk about. Well, around the time of our Revolutionary War, Canada claims they won the war. The U.S. invaded Canada thinking that the Canadian people would join us in fighting against British colonialism. I still think if they had marched into Quebec, the French would have joined us willingly. It must have been the French and Indian War. Anyway, somewhere between, I'm hazy on this part of our history, between our revolution and the War of 1812, we did send an army into Canada and they whooped us and kicked us out. But I don't think we were terribly serious. It was more like, okay, if you don't want to join us, bye. Go ahead and be a British colony. Oh, Freeman just quoted a Rodney Dangerfield joke, almost paraphrased it. Rodney Dangerfield would say, well, he'd, be talking about something that happens to people, and he'd say, take my wife, please. Angus, it was in the War of 1812? I don't know. Let's see. I was getting scared last night. I thought my monitor was dying. When did the U.S. invade Canada? It turns out it was just dirty. In 1812, the U.S. invaded Canada. The resulting War of 1812 was fought largely on Canadian territory, especially along the Niagara frontier. The Americans were superior in numbers but badly organized, and yet all that we as Americans hear about that war is the Battle of New Orleans, where the French helped us keep the British out of the harbor. The British wanted to land in New Orleans and take back their obstreperous colonies, their revolting colonies. It was like a Wizard of Oz cartoon where the king's advisor says, the peasants are revolting. And the king says, they certainly are. A lot of people didn't like the movie of A Scanner Darkly because They don't like the rotoscope technology that turned it into a cartoon. But I liked it. Not as much as Radio Free Albemuth. Oh, Benjamin Franklin never got along with his son. Apparently, he was a deadbeat dad. Ben Franklin liked to go to Europe and party. I don't know. That's just what Google told me, Angus. It might have been a counterattack. I mean, after all, the British burned the White House. And I think Madison was president. I seem to remember something about the president's wife going back into the White House over and over to pull out the important paintings. I think that was Dolly Madison. Well, if that was Henny Freeman, then what's his name stole the joke from him. Rodney Dangerfield said it all the time. One of them stole the joke from the other. Oh, Dr. Blood Money would be expensive to make. Yeah, there's the tomcat. I've given up trying to keep him out. If I shut the door, I have to get up 16 times an hour to let cats in and out. It's a little too chilly. Let me put on the sweater and stiff and stretch my back. Yes, Tora. I know he doesn't live here, but he thinks he does. He eats here. Hi, sweetie. Hi, Smokey Sue. Okay. 3 out of 5 cats are in the house, so I shut the door because the tomcat left. This is one of those days when the backs of my knees feel funny because I'm not sleepy tired. I'm muscle tired. I usually finish the coughing before I start my show. Well, let's see. If I can get that Bible verse that inspired the title of it, Scanner Darkly. I have to go to the King James Version. It is 1 Corinthians chapter 13. Okay, share screen. Let me see. Come on, evil thing. Give me the arrow. I don't want to move it. I want to stretch it, you evil mouse. Come on. It won't give me the stretchy thing. Here we go. So I can share a button. There we go. Bible Gateway. 1 Corinthians 13:12. For now we see through a glass darkly. A glass, by the way, is a mirror, but then face to face. Now I know in part, but then shall I know even all as also I am. And that is where Phil got the title for A Scanner Darkly. Okay. Oh, Freeman stayed up. I got up just for you guys, so there. Oh, we can build you. Yeah. I liked the idea of an Abraham Lincoln simulacrum, which of course was inspired by the Disney replica of the Lincoln Memorial, or with a statue of Lincoln that actually talked and moved a little, didn't get up from the chair. Well, yeah, rich people had mirrors. Yes, Cheryl, polished metal was common among people who could not afford glass. Glass was not expensive or difficult to find, but I've experimented, and you really have to have real silver to back it to make the glass reflective. Nowadays, we have other substances that work without using silver. But back then, it was silver. But people knew what a mirror was. Oh, Genesis 12:3. He who blesses Israel is himself blessed. Yep. Oh, Disney's Hall of Presidents. Thank you, Freeman. Yeah, is or was at Disneyland. They've changed so much, and I don't go there. The last time I went to Disneyland in Anaheim, California, it cost $20 to get in, and that did not include tickets for the rides. Now you can't get in for $100, but at least you don't have to have tickets for the rides. You just have to have 2 hours to stand in line and wait to get on a good ride. Oh, the one at Disneyland that I really loved, I think you watched it from the Main Street train. It was dinosaurs, and a Triceratops and a Tyrannosaurus were battling each other, and in the background a volcano was erupting. Sorry, I usually get the coughing done before I come on live. It's a morning ritual now. No, Phil was not a big fan of Disneyland. He didn't do well in crowds. He enjoyed the tour that he took with a French film crew who were interviewing him. They had arranged for Disneyland to escort them to various rides, and they filmed Phil on the teacups. We went there once with Tim Powers and somebody else, but Phil had a panic attack and ran out into the parking lot and sat on the hood of Tim's car. I don't like crowds either, but it isn't as drastic in my case. But I am uncomfortable and I do want to leave. Yeah, well, the death in one of the restaurants, actually, it's still in court. A woman told the staff she was allergic to something, I forget what, and they told her they would make this particular dish for her without that ingredient. And guess what? It did have that ingredient. And so far, the courts have said the agreement that she signed cannot be enforced because they were notified of the allergy and they promised they could keep that ingredient out of her meal. Rabbi Hillel was wise. That which is hateful to you, do not do to your neighbor. That is the whole Torah. Yeah, 1st century BC. Reminds me of what Jesus said. Love the Lord thy God with all thy heart and mind, and love thy neighbor as thyself. That is the whole of the law. Yeah. No, he wasn't that close to Disneyland. At one time as a teenager, I lived in walking distance of Disneyland, but it was more than a block. We lived in Fullerton, and Disneyland's in Anaheim, so you'd have to drive or take a bus. And even in Santa Ana, Phil was not very close to Disneyland. Oh, panic attacks are awful. He did not like roller coasters. I don't either, really. But he did like the teacups. They're more like a ride you'd get at a traveling fair in a small town, where you sit in a huge teacup like Alice in Wonderland, and it's a merry-go-round, and while the whole thing goes around, the teacups spin slowly, by the way. It's the kind of ride most children would not be upset or frightened. Yeah. Yeah, Fullerton can get dusty. Depends on which part you're in. Over by Bastonchury Road and St. Jude Hospital, it gets very dusty. Lots of horses and cattle out that way. But we were in the area near Cal State Fullerton, the college, and it was more paved over, less dust. I don't know what it's like now. I haven't gone back, but there is an outfit that does tours of where Phil lived, with experts giving, short lectures while you see the apartment. and so forth. Freeman, even if you initial the clause, certain things in contracts cannot be enforced by law. And if there's a clause in a contract that cannot be enforced, the court will not enforce it. There are certain rights you cannot give up, even if you sign it. I'm not a lawyer, but I do know that if a clause in a contract violates the Uniform Commercial Code, it cannot be enforced. Oh, Angus had a sourdough bacon cheese patty melt with Parmesan encrusted bread. Jack in the Box used to have a really good burger. It was on sourdough bread and it had bacon. It was very much kind of a copycat of what you're describing, Angus. Of course, the ingredients were not as expensive and not as genuine, but lately all the fast food places have been serving things I don't even want to eat. Except one place, I forgot the name of it, still has great burgers. Of course, the one near me went out of business when the minimum wage was raised to $20 an hour in California. I keep forgetting the name of the place. I can picture it and everything, even the sign, but not the word. The name doesn't sound like a burger place. It sounds more like a Five and Dime. Remember Five and Dime stores? Newberry's, Sprouse Ritz. I can't think of a major chain you might have heard of back east. Places where they had knickknacks and household items. Some were 5 cents, some were 10 cents. And they usually had a counter with candy that they made and ice cream cones and cups. Oh well. Can't think of the name of a major chain. Anyway, they're all gone. Hi, Oswald. Welcome in. Yeah, eat the bugs. Yeah, insects are not kosher. A couple of McDonald's, one in San Francisco and one somewhere in Texas, a few years back, test marketed, pretty recently, they test marketed the veggie burgers. Nobody would buy them. I think vegetarians and vegans don't eat at McDonald's anyway. The problem with minimum wage is that the real drain on the employees is the taxes taken out of their wages. If you make more money, prices have to go up. But if they take less out in taxes, you actually have more money. Oh, Oswald. Woolworths, that's it. Yeah. We had Woolworths here in California. Woolworths was a 5 and dime, too. Back in the dark ages. It's okay, Oswald. We don't have a topic. You can go off topic anytime. Yeah, we used to very rarely, as a treat, have a sandwich, a cold sandwich for lunch at Woolworths. I usually went for either chicken salad or egg salad. And when I was living in Orange, because I was going to Chapman College, we had a mom and pop drugstore with a soda fountain and fry cooks and so forth. You know, sort of a restaurant. And for breakfast, they offered SOS, stuff on a shingle, like they used to feed the military in World War II. It's creamed chipped beef on toast. And just because of all the memories, I ordered it, and I really liked it. I think it was called Wilkinson's Pharmacy. It was right across the street from the old Navy store. And a Wells Fargo bank, and I will never do business with Wells Fargo again. They were awful. That's interesting, Angus. The son of the Haft family, who owned a series of pharmacies, started Crown Books because the pharmacies sold so many books. That's cool. Yeah, at one time soda was considered a medicinal. And you know how we got the ice cream sundae? They were not allowed to serve soda on Sundays. It was one of the, I guess they call it a blue law. You couldn't serve alcohol on Sundays. And back in the day, beer cans did not have pop tops. You had to have a tool to poke a hole in the top of the can. So the opener for a can of beer was called a church key, because the wife would hide it until after her husband went to church. So he had to go to church on Sunday if he wanted his beer. Oh, Lorraine, yeah, Watson's products show up in other stores now, and even mail order or internet order. Anyway, and a lot of people still made bathtub beer and bottled it. With that homemade stuff, you just had to pull out the cork. But when beer started being canned, the can opener that poked the hole in the can came to be known as a church key. I guess I haven't done much stomping around in Santa Monica. I was in Culver City up to the age of 11. I do remember, of course, the Natural History Museum. Don't do business with Skank of America either. No Wells Fargo, no Skank of America, no shitty bank. Watson's, huh? I thought it was Wilkinson's. Well, whatever, Watson's. Humph. Yeah, and they had outdoor seating at the pharmacy in Orange because you weren't allowed to smoke inside, which I think is a good idea. Why smoke up the restaurant while people are eating? But so on lunch hours, my coworker and I would eat there, and we both smoked. So we'd be outside, and some activist would come along and sit down at the next table, even though there were 6 empty tables that were not close to us, and complain about our smoke. Well, why don't you move? No, we'd end up picking up our food and moving to a different table. And if they followed us, then we had a problem. It's like, yeah, cigarettes are bad, so don't get close to me on purpose. Oh, Culver City is not only full of yuppies, it's full of skyscrapers. They weren't there when I was growing up. And I looked up one of the houses we lived in, which was a real dump when we lived there. But it had 3 units. It had 2 little bachelor pads, like a studio, and then the big house with 3 bedrooms. It recently sold for almost $1 million. I just about passed out when I saw that price. But it's been fixed up quite a bit and landscaped. When I lived there as a child, it didn't have a garage, it had a carriage house. Well, they apparently demolished the carriage house and put in a garage that will hold 3 cars. Well, I spent some time in Orange because when I was graduating from the junior college, my counselor recommended it. And in one of the classes I was taking, the professor, screenwriting or playwriting, scripts. The professor asked me, "Are you related to Philip K. Dick?" And at the time, nobody knew who Phil was. I said, "Yes, I was married to him, so I was an instant celebrity." I didn't really want to be a celebrity. Phil was still alive, by the way. Oh, Angus went to Chapman, took a class with Axelrod. I don't know who McAlpine is. And a professor with very bad Parkinson's. I think I know who that one was, but I can't come up with the name. I never took a class with Axelrod, but I knew who that was. Let's see. Oh, crap. We always called her Betsy. Elizabeth something. She had a fellowship at the Huntington Library, and she was studying Shakespeare and the King James Bible. They had oh, come on, I can't think of the word. One of the first printed Bibles. The guy who invented the printing press. Dang. The movable type. Gutenberg. As I was typing search terms, I thought of it. Yes, they had a copy of the Gutenberg Bible under glass. You could look at it, but it was really well protected. But she was allowed to actually open the glass and handle it carefully with gloves and a mask and all that. Truax. Betsy Truax. Many of my old professors have died. Yeah. Angus says Gordon McAlpine died a couple of years ago of cancer. He taught the writing seminar and he was great. Nice guy. Yeah. I studied under Ron Thrum something in English department. Massey, Tom Massey. And Yeager, I think his first name was Martin. We called him Mr. Yeager. Everyone else went by their first names. Anyway, I was mostly studying literature. MFA, yes, that's Master of Fine Arts, but I got a master's in English literature. I was scared to take art classes because I can't draw very well. I do better with painting because I can cover my mistakes with more paint. Oh, wow. Yeah, Blaylock Jim Blaylock was a good guy, good friend of Phil, and a good professor. Powers is a wobbler. Tim Powers sometimes seems like a good guy, but there are things he does that are questionable in my mind, and Phil's. Phil believed in keeping your enemies close so you could keep an eye on them, but he didn't consider Powers an enemy, just a wobbler. Yeah, Blaylock. Yeah, Powers, I'm just not into sword and sorcery. But apparently his Pirates of the Caribbean novel was good. And he's nice. Yeah, Tim Powers is nice. But I believe, more than suspect, that on occasion he stabbed me in the back. Blaylock is a great guy. You know, everybody has faults, but some faults are worse and more apparent than others. Yeah. Well, Phil hung out with writers because that's who gravitated toward him. He did a few lectures in Dr. McNally's classes at Cal State Fullerton, and that's how he met Tim Powers and a few others. Oh, Emperor Norton. Freeman's been reading about Emperor Norton. He declared himself the Emperor of California. I think San Francisco issued coins for him, something like that. And people let him do it. All right, I can take off the sweater now. It's warming up a little, and I can stretch my poor back. All right. Oh, Heinlein had his own house built in California. Up in Santa Cruz in a little community called Half Moon Bay. He designed it. He actually was a pretty good architect. And the house was an octagon shaped like a stop sign. And it was walled and gated. And if you wanted in, you had to stop at the gate and talk to him on the intercom. And he would decide whether to let you in. He bragged that he even kept out the IRS one time. He said, "No, I'm busy writing. You'll have to call me on the phone." "Well, we tried and you never answer the phone." "Yeah, that's because I'm writing." And they sent him letters and stuff. but they had to wait till had finished his book, and then he would talk to the IRS. Oh yeah, Norman Spinrad was one of Phil's good friends. Harlan Ellison was a jerk, but Phil knew him. I like Silverberg's work. He has a sense of humor, but I think Phil looked down on it as not very good work. But I met Robert Silverberg one time. We were up in San Francisco for one night, and they came to the hotel and visited us. And they brought their wives. I don't have much respect for writers who don't bring their wives, unless it's a personal decision by the wife. Yeah, he did call his property Bonnie Doon, Angus. I visited him once. He invited me. I didn't invite myself. And he wanted to meet my son, Christopher. No, thanks, Etsy Quentia. I don't want to turn my arms the wrong way. I do stretching and stuff. And in my rocking chair, I do a modified form of chair yoga. I don't know if Heinlein had a cult influence, but people who only read his books thought he was a radical right-winger. Turns out he was a libertarian. And his wife, Ginny, was a very nice lady. Very accomplished herself. And cultured without being snobbish. Well, Freeman, I haven't paid the insurance because I haven't got the bill yet. So I'm socking away the money in an account that I don't touch. So it'll be there when they finally bill me. Hi, Gypsy. Welcome in. Okay, what are you doing? Evil modem. The modem is being there's a libertarian political party. Libertarianism, I guess he liked Ayn Rand's books. But the libertarians I've encountered lately are actually libertine. Well, I think I have a lunch date for today with a lady who writes for the newspaper. But our town celebrates on the closest Saturday to the 4th, so that's when the good stuff happens. The small town parade and street fair and all kinds of events around town. Oh yeah, libertarians can be real jerks. Oh, wow. I've been on for an hour and 20 and I'm starting to lose internet because it's 9 o'clock. The magic hour when Verizon thinks I don't deserve it. Going out over the road again. Oh, the traffic has been terrible here because all the tourists are coming up to celebrate. And they fill my Facebook group with questions about what is there to do? What events are there? Well, the main thing is no fireworks in most of this entire county. No fireworks, no personal fireworks anywhere for anyone at any time. But we do have professional fireworks shows. Drones with high-def cameras, yeah. You can pay to sit near the lake. They set off the professional fireworks over the lake, so if sparks fall down, they land in the water. But you can see it without going to the paid places. Well, we aren't Lioness anymore, Oswald. We're the Lions Club. It's an international organization, and the high muckety mucks in some other countries did not like having a women's group associated with them. Well, the fires in California have not been a danger to me or these mountains. A couple small ones have been nearby, but not, they were small, they were put out fast, and they were not headed this way. The wind has been in our favor. Oh, yeah, we have a Soar Optimist Club up here. It's women, soror in Greek. It's either woman or wife. I forget which. We have a yacht club, but because our lake is small, the boats are remote controlled models, little tiny things. And you don't even have to have one to join. And we have, I'm blanking on the name of the organization now. Oh, Sister. That's it, Philip. Thank you. Soror is sister. But anyway, we have these groups that we have elks and Masons and Scientologists, but they keep to themselves behind their walls and gates. A lot of Mormons. I think the original settlers here were Mormons who were logging and making lumber for all the construction in Los Angeles. Yeah, sorority. Yeah, sisterhood. Okay, what's the name of that stinking business organization? Not the Exchange Club, the other one. Oh, well. They do all kinds of charitable stuff, like giving away backpacks and school supplies to the children right before school starts. Um, hmm. And of course, lions. We do everything. Well, there's two big fires, and the one north of Los Angeles is pretty much under control. But there's one up near Sacramento that's huge, but it's in the national forest. Not many homes are threatened. Not many structures are threatened. It's just burning down all the trees in the forest at this point. But we shall see. We're not expecting any rain for at least another week. I'm losing energy, and I still need to bag up more weeds. The county has arranged for yard waste to be picked up for free. Now that they require us to separate yard waste from household trash, the trash company, Vertec, doesn't pick up yard waste. You have to take it to a special location, which is kind of difficult for someone who doesn't have a car. Well, you know what, California has these fires due to poor forest management. You can't clear the brush because some rat might want to live in the brush. You can't take down dead trees because, that's nature. That's natural. And some beetle lives in it. And farmers can't have water because some tiny fish might go extinct. But the measures they took, which coincidentally deprive farmers of water, is killing all the trout. Yeah, I saw that, Freeman. Someone made a remote control model of the Exxon Valdez, complete with an easy rupture hull. Yep, our governor thinks he can run for president. Nobody's going to vote for that guy. I call him Slick Willie. He's related somehow by marriage to Nancy Pelosi, the California congresswoman, representative, who somehow made her husband made millions of dollars investing in the stock market while she was in charge of the committee, or at least on the committee that regulated certain companies. Yeah, we do have some controlled burns now. Once in a while, one gets out of hand. We tried to recall Governor Newsom. It failed on a technicality, so it didn't get on the ballot. Okay, Freeman, I won't mention that name again. He who shall not be named. Anyway. This location on the mountain is very, very safe. Safer than some houses in the flatland below from natural disasters and various criminal activities. Wow. I call it paw grease, hand lotion. My hands are so dry that things slip out from between my fingers. Okay. Come on. Most of the hand lotions they sell, on the store shelves are just horrible. They're perfumey. They feel gritty. And they don't really feel good on my hands. Oh. No, I'm not quite the old man trying to cross the street in Inspector Clouseau, but yeah. Well, Newsom is the guy who had, he celebrated his birthday dinner party at that fancy French restaurant, the French Laundry, with a dozen of his closest friends, indoors without masks. Well, even that restaurant was closed. Nobody could eat in a restaurant because you might catch something. That should have been the end for him. Well, yeah, the oldest animal on Earth, Philip says, is a Greenland shark that was born in 1627. I wonder how they know it's the same shark. The oldest living thing is a tree. Not sure which tree qualifies. The oldest in America is one of the redwoods. But I think the oldest in the world might be that tree of life in Africa. Of course, we don't know everything. We haven't seen everything. Oh, they count the rings. Sharks don't have scales, Freeman. They're smooth-skinned. They aren't fish. Technically, well, they call them fish, but they actually have milk. They just don't have nipples. The baby sharks drink out of these like bowl-shaped things on the mother's belly. And I don't think they can take the cartilage from a living shark and have it remain alive. Tissue sample dated? Oh, the oldest tree is in Nevada? Methuselah, a bristlecone pine. Thank you, Freeman. Sharks don't have scales. They're like dolphins. Okay. Google, do sharks have scales? Oh, dermal denticles, also known as placoid scales. They have scales. Humph. Learn something new every day. They do. Their scales are made of the same material as their teeth. Cute, Lorraine. Musical sharks have scales. I had to think about that one. Oh well. Oh, Freeman's a frog man. Oh, whatever they did, they figured out how old the shark was. Well, Google says sharks have scales. But I think that it's really wrong to classify them as fish because they have some characteristics of mammals, like the mother giving milk. They call the inside of a woman's breast the mammary glands because they're mammals. Yeah, apparently they are not the same material as fish scales, Angus. I don't think fish scales are made of what their teeth are made of. I think they're more like hair. Anyway, hour and 40, and we're just kind of drifting along with the tide, no particular topic. Oh, Etsy Quintia, don't ever sign a recording contract with a music shark, they'll gut you. Yeah. Mm. Uh, anyway, got a big day ahead and a big weekend. It's going to be awesome. And I have to make a pineapple upside down cake for the wife of the guy who hauls my trash away for free, won't take any money. And he wants a lasagna. No, Angus caught a small shark once when he was a child, but it got away. It fit through the line, the fishing line. I think I'll listen to more music. I found myself singing Delta Dawn just in moments when, it was pretty quiet and I felt like singing. So I started playing the Tanya Tucker version, but I kind of like the cover by, oh dear, what's her name? Helen Reddy, a little better. But I think my vocal range is more like Tanya Tucker's. When I went on the whale watching tour, we saw more sharks than whales. We saw one dolphin, pretty shiny thing, really pretty. The kind with the black stripe on the edge of its fin. Well, Frank Sinatra was a good singer. Back in the big band era when, they could afford to pay 20 or 30 musicians to back up the singer. Well, the sharks will come near the boats because you go out on a fishing boat to watch whales, and they think maybe a fish will fall into the water and they'll get an easy snack. It's amazing how silently they swim, even on the surface. Oh well, I gotta get going and do something useful today. And try to avoid politics for a while. It's getting so repetitive. But it looks like they can't not replace Joe Biden because the replacement would not get on the ballot because of the individual states having certain laws and rules about getting on the ballot. I worry about all the. I don't think it's productive to hate them, to hate anyone, but it is productive to get angry and do something about it, like vote. Yeah, they've already sent a notice that they will, the mortgage company will impose insurance, because I can't get it due to California rules, regulations, and so forth. But they haven't actually done it yet. So I'm not being billed for it. And I'm still fighting them over a debt that they're trying to collect, but it was denied years ago in 20, I forget exactly, it was pre-COVID. The bankruptcy court denied their claim, and they're still trying to collect it. Yeah, Florida isn't doing any better than California when it comes to home insurance. I keep hoping I'll win the lottery so I can pay off the house and self-insure. You just create a bond, which is what insurance companies do, and if anything happens, you use that bond to pay for it. But I'd need about $1 million to do that. Well, maybe not quite that much. Let's say $250,000. Yeah, well, that's how it goes. Nothing's going to happen, and the FEMA grant that I got will repair the things that happened in Snowmageddon when I had insurance, but it wasn't covered. It's really not huge damage. It's mostly decorative. You know, the trim on the outside of the house. And the trim's just there to look nice. But there is a spot where the siding got chewed through by a critter that was trapped under my house when the snow got deep. I'll get the insurance. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, I had a visit from Sean Nye. He teaches up in Los Angeles somewhere, and he's been writing about Philip K. Dick and music. So whenever I come across memorabilia that have to do with music, I send it to him. And he's not wealthy by any means. He's struggling too. But when he can afford it, he'll send me a few bucks. Good guy. Anyway, he visited yesterday and we had lunch. It was, no, I think it was Tuesday. Yeah, and yesterday I had the Skype interview with Niche. She'll edit the recording and put it online and let us know eventually. This is her second time interviewing me. We talked mostly about demons and other woo-woo stuff. It was good. I can't tell you what demons are, but I can tell you that they're real, whatever they are. They have no real power over you. They want you to be afraid because your fear gives them power. So don't be scared, or try not to. Just tell them to shut up and go away. They have no claim on you. I tell them I'm a child of God and they have no rights concerning me. Well, I used to. They haven't been coming around because they have no claim and they know it. Okay, let's see. I guess it's time to get going. I don't know how well it shows up on your screen, but this stinking basal cell carcinoma decided to grow again. It was going away. So I have to figure out what I've done that allowed it to grow. I suspect it was eating Pringles potato chips. They're full of crappy oils and stuff. So no more Pringles. But there's probably more to it than that. Anyway, I gotta get going. We're almost at 2 hours and I'm tired and hungry. I have weeds to bag up. I complain about it, but I really enjoy cleaning up my yard. I love gardening. Okay, guys, so Buddhists say, I see you, Mara. That's a good one. Let's see. Thank you all for stopping by and have a great Independence Day. And if there are fireworks, enjoy them too. Pretty things in the air. Oh man. See ya. Oh, yeah, I forgot. Although this was more appropriate in the month of May. May the 4th be with you.